आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव। Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. Birth of a Nation. India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the struggle every day.
Long live! Gandhiji! Long live! Gandhiji! Long live!
12th March is the historic day when Gandhiji started his famous Dandi March in 1930. The 24-day march from March 12th to April 5th, 1930 marked the inauguration of the civil disobedience movement. The Dandi March was the most significant organized movement against the British Raj after the non-cooperation movement of the 1920s.
There was great excitement in Ahmedabad on the eve of the march. A large crowd gathered around Sabarmati Ashram and stayed through the night. Gandhiji gathered a group of 78 men.
There were 31 marchers from Gujarat, 13 from Maharashtra, and others from the United Provinces, Kerala, Punjab and Sindh, with Tamil Nadu, Andhra, Karnataka, Bengal, Bihar and Orissa sending one each. The diversity was social as well as geographical. From among the chosen marchers, there were many students and khadi workers. Several were the so-called untouchables, a few Muslims and one Christian.
They started out at 6:30 a.m. amidst a large group of people, cheering them all along with flowers and greetings. On their way, they stopped at a number of villages where Gandhi addressed large crowds. Gandhi reached Dandi village on April the 5th. Next day, on the 6th of April, he proceeded to the sea, where he picked up lumps of natural salt lying in a small pit.
Man needs salt as he needs air and water. This salt comes from the Indian Ocean. Let every Indian claim it as his right.
While picking up the salt, Gandhiji said,
With this, I'm shaking the foundations of the British Empire. My advice is that the workers should everywhere manufacture salt to make use of it and to instruct the villagers to do so.
The act was symbolic but was hugely covered by the press and was the beginning of several other acts of civil disobedience in other parts of India.
The Dandi March and its effect shook up the British government. We also remember the nationalist leader and the first Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Yashwantrao Chauhan, who was born on the 12th of March 1913 in Sangli district of Maharashtra. As a schoolboy in Karad, he was fined for his participation in the non-cooperation movement. In 1932, he was sentenced to 18 months in prison for hoisting the Indian flag in Satara. During this period, he came in contact with Swami Ramanand Bharti, Dholappa Bhaurao, Appa Sahib and Govind Kruparam.
During his college years, Chauhan was involved in many social activities and was closely associated with the Congress Party and its leaders such as Jawaharlal Nehru, Sardar Patel and Keshav Rao Jade. Chauhan was one of the delegates at the Bombay session of the Indian National Congress in 1942 that gave the call for Quit India. He spent around 2 years in jail for his participation in the Quit India movement.
Post-independence, Yashwantrao Chauhan was the first Chief Minister of the undivided state of Bombay. When the two new states of Gujarat and Maharashtra were created in 1960, Chauhan became the Chief Minister of the new state of Maharashtra. He took several steps to develop the state. He passed the Cooperative Societies Act and brought industries to backward areas, thus laying the stepping stones for a modern, industrialized state.
Yashwantrao Chauhan held many important portfolios in the central government. He served as the Minister of Defence, Minister of Home Affairs, Minister of Finance and External Affairs Minister.
the elimination of foreign military bases from and preservation of peace in the Indian Ocean. This is not so for any reasons of expediency, but of principle and deep conviction. India's policy on the Indian Ocean is a logical and natural outcome of its policy of peaceful coexistence and non-alignment.
He also served as the 5th Deputy Prime Minister of India from July 1979 till January 1980.
Yashwantrao Chauhan died of a heart attack on the 25th of November 1984 in Delhi. AIR pays tribute to the great leader.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow.